Was that?
No.
Okay.
Wasn't hard.
Yeah. I mean, some, at least for me, I don't know authors, so like those are hard ones for me.
Infinito por ahora.
But I would say go for it.
Yeah.
Just go for
For
it.
that 4-letter one, I just said like fire randomly, and it was correct.
Right.
I
This,
thought
see,
like
that's,
that
More than
randomly, so I
50%,
got
sure, I'd say go for it.
this is where we like can't second guess ourselves. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a
And at
game
the
plan.
and
Can I
at
tell them?
yeah.
Griffin and Cameron, you're gonna be staying there all the time. Yeah? You both are gonna stay there the whole time. Okay?
Sure.
The three of us will be reaching
Okay.
out.
I don't know. I'd say Mateo is pretty good.
Mateo
Yeah.
also.
He's gonna start. Okay.
Actually, we can do miss. Those three permanent ones, me and Ali switch.
Yeah. Okay. We can do that.
So
Yeah.
not everybody can guess say is at the time. Like, if I answer this, it will go to the 12th grader or whatever grader, and then
So-
I cannot say it.
Right. So it sounds like you guys will have time to discuss. We're gonna clarify that, and then whoever's turn it is to speak will speak. But I will ask clarification for that. Actually, let me just ask right now.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh boy,
You
let's
guys
start
want to get? We'll
sliding.
do 12, 11.
How does it exactly does it work?
Cool.
It's a stream and it's live. I think.
Oh, right. It has a.
I think that it spins. Well, actually, let's set ourselves up here.
You'll discuss it and you'll be like, well, the next one is question you discuss it and you and then I think we should get on this So one little change you're making, because there's like a kind of a contradiction in the rules, is you can discuss the bonus question, okay? But then it says ninth graders are supposed to answer it, then the 10th graders, then the 11th and 12th. So what we'll do is you discuss it together, and then the first bonus question, the ninth grader would answer, right? And then the second bonus question, you discuss it as a team, that you would answer. Same over there, right, like we just talked about. And then eventually, the 11th grader would answer it, even though you're discussing it together, you're just kind of responding for the team, right? And then 12th, and then we'd move back to the 9th grade. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes.
And then, like I said, well, we should kind of fix that little loophole in the directions there, the rules. And it's 10 seconds when it's a, regular toss-up, 30 seconds if it's logic. Now, you can't discuss questions, right, until you get to the bonus. And so you can't turn and discuss when it's a toss-up. Once you kind of get the board, so to speak, that's when you can have your discussion on the bonus. Omar, we need your advice, sorry. And you're up,
A little bit.
so,
So we have the Jaguars versus the Cougars.
no?
You guys ready for a cat fight?
16.
I wrote that one. Are we ready for the cat
Yes, and so we're gonna go 15 minutes. 9, 10, 11, 12. That's, that's just how we'll do it. Because it really, at the end of the day, you're still discussing it as a group, right? And someone's giving me the answer. All right, so toss up the question, we're gonna go 15 minutes starting now.
Each concerto in this group has an accompanying sonnet. The other three aren't played with nearly as much frequency as spring, but together they make up What Suit by Antonio Vivaldi. Thank you.
What's the name of the concert?
Yes,
Four Seasons?
Yes.
correct.
You can't discuss toss-up questions or give each other any type of hints or stuff like that, okay?
Okay, bonus question starting with our ninth grader.
Reset it, please. No.
Yeah, but you can discuss it,
Yeah.
and then Emiliana will answer.
Yeah, so there's no. In 1985, the Supreme Court ruled a public one must comply with. The reindeer rule. St. Francis of Assisi is credited with creating the first one in 1223. PETA notes animal abuse connected with living ones. The French word for it is crochet. What is it?
You can discuss this.
Time's up. Time's up. The answer is
Like he, and he,
Yeah. the nativity scene is the answer.
No, we don't lose points on bonuses, so.
Its chief religion is Eastern Orthodox. It fought a war of independence, 1821 to 1829, against the Ottoman Empire. Its army was known for a tight military formation called the Felix. The Agora was the marketplace in its cities. Such are some of the historical highlights of which country?
Greece.
Greece is correct.
Yeah.
He was buzzing and then, yeah, he was buzzing a couple of times.
So we're gonna just null that one just because
What
we
if
had a
it's,
technical issue.
can I suggest though that if it doesn't buzz, just say buzz, so.
No, we need, can you reset it?
Yeah, that's what I looked at, the board, it's sliding out.
I'm really sorry about that, actually.
They deserve the point. I guess we just know that.
Okay, reset.
Thank you. It's very good sportsmanship, guys. This actually, I really appreciate that.
Really saw him impressive.
All right, so he's saying,
We're throwing it off.
We can interrupt when you're thinking the question and you know the answer.
yes, you may, if, as soon as I start reading,
If you know it, you
If
can
you
buzz
know it,
in.
you can-
You just have to answer it, and you don't get the rest of the question correct.
so if you can read my mind, you should read. In quantum mechanics, it is equal to Planck's constant divide by the Herschel's wavelength. In classical mechanics, its change is called impulse, and its time derivative equals the net force. What is the conserved quantity that equals mass times velocity?
Momentum.
Momentum is correct. All right.
Go into the first question.
And you're the ninth grader?
Yeah.
I'm 10th grader, 9th grader, 11th.
But we're just gonna go this way to make it easy.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Words beginning with what letter link the following? The shrewdish wife of Socrates, the location of Kubal Khan's place of pilgrimage, 1798 poem, a tissue in woody plants which conducts water, and the fear of strangers. xenophobia? Toss up. Back to the toss up. Words starting with what two letters have these definitions? A soft sheer fabric, from the French for rag, the ancient name for the lands at the head of the Persian Gulf, south of Babylon. The Russian-French artist of the juggler, and a warm wind that blows down the slopes of the Rocky Mountains in early spring.
Breeze? BR. Sorry.
Incorrect. We're starting with what two letters have this time? The answer is CH as in Chinook. Toss-up question. What is the simplified value of x raised to the 8th power divided by x raised to the... I don't understand this math.
9 halves.
9 halves power. What was that?
X to the 3.5.
X to 3.5 is correct.
So bonus,
Bonus is here. First held in 1905, what event is the largest annual sporting event in the Southern Hemisphere? Past champions include Fred Perry, Don Budge, Ken Roswell, Rod LeVar, Arthur Ashe, John Newton, Jimmy Connors, Guillermo Valles, Stefan Edberg, Yvonne Letty, Pete Sampras, Andre Agassi, and Roger Federer.
okay, answer.
Australian Open.
Oh, we wanted.
I haven't messed that one up actually. We're gonna read. You just read what the Open. You guys are gonna sacrifice that one. Sorry.
Yeah, they were a good sport, and their friends were like,
That's fine.
cancels out, right? You're a good sport on the first one, you have to be a good sport here, that was a mistake from our team here. So back to a toss.
Okay, toss-up question. In 1997, the American Public Transportation Association issued which woman its first Lifetime Achievement Award? She received the Congressional Medal of Freedom in 1996 and is memorialized in the U.S. Capitol's National Statuary Hall.
Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks is correct.
You're answering the bonus.
Okay.
Okay. What is the least number of points required to uniquely define the graph of any conic section, including its eccentricity and orientation?
You read the question, please?
What is the least number of points required to uniquely define the graph of any conic section, including its eccentricity and orientation?
One.
One is incorrect. It is 5. Toss up. Here we go. Name the amphitheater that has serves as the Los Angeles philanthropic summer home for the past century. It sits just north of the same name boulevard, and its backdrop features a sign of the same name?
Hollywood Bowl.
Hollywood Bowl is correct. Very good.
All this you guys discussed.
Here we go. Bonus question. Most Japanese practice what two religions? Most Japanese practice what two religions?
Buddhism and Christianity.
Incorrect. The answer is Buddhism and Shintoism.
Oh.
It's good that we answer the bonus, right? You don't lose points.
Yeah.
And you gotta give it a shot.
Toss up. What final two digits do these years have in common? The death of Attila the Hun, the traditional founding of Rome, the fall of Constantinople, and the Soviet Union tests its version of the hydrogen bomb. Correct. Bonus question, I believe it goes to the senior now. Identify any two of the three most common forms of carbohydrates.
Can you repeat that?
Identify any two of the three most common forms of carbohydrates. And, time.
Rice and potatoes?
Sugars and starches is the correct answer we're looking for, so incorrect. Toss up. Name the heroine who defends Antonio in The Merchant of Venice. The heroine who defends Antonio in The Merchant of Venice. The answer is Portia. This two-word phrase would probably appear on an upscale restaurant menu where $75, I'm assuming US dollars, buys you an appetizer, soup, salad, entree, and dessert, and a paired glass of wine. Which French expression designates a complete dinner with a set cost?
A la carte.
Incorrect.
Can we disappoint?
You have to buzz in.
The answer is prefix.
Update on score? 7-3. How that time?
All right, toss up. In 1516, he published his translation.
Martin Luther?
Incorrect.
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. In 1516, he published his translation of the Greek New Testament at Cambridge University. Name this theologian who is considered the most important scholar of the Northern Renaissance, a citizen of Rotterdam. The answer is Erasmus. What two-word phrase describes the space without grass near the outfield wall of the baseball park? What two-word phrase describes the space without grass near the outfield wall?
Home. It's home plate.
Home plate is incorrect. What two-word phrase describes the space without grass near the outfield wall of a baseball park?
Outside.
Incorrect. Tough when there aren't baseball diamonds here. It's a warning track. A hieronym is a word that is spelled identically to another but has a different meaning and pronunciation. What heteronym of the word for a vehicle's instrument panel means to comfort someone? What heteronym of the word for a vehicle's instrument panel means to comfort someone?
Cluster?
Huh?
Cluster?
Did you say cluster?
Yes.
Incorrect.
Could you repeat the question?
What heteronym of the word for a vehicle's instrument panel means to comfort someone? Comfort someone. Time's up. The answer is a console. So console Toss-up question. A question and answer website is named after the overflow of what data structures? A question and answer website is named after the overflow of what data structures?
Stack Overflow.
So the answer is stacks. Correct. Bonus question. For information about the time of sunrise or sunset, you would consult what sort of reference book? Time is up.
January.
The answer is almanac.
Almanac. I never never seen one.
Toss-up question. Cooling water contaminated with radiation drained from an open valve into adjoining buildings, and the core began to dangerously overheat. On March 28, 1979, the worst accident in the history of the U.S. nuclear power industry started. A pressure valve at what facility failed to close? The answer is 3 Mile Island.
I was in middle school and I remember that because I lived in that area. How old I am.
A heteronym is a word that is spelled identically to another but has a different meaning and pronunciation. What is another word for trash? As a verb, it means to say no. Refuse. I refuse, or to say no, to refuse.
What's the current point?
What's that? 6-4. No matter what, all the cats are doing it now, right? I gotta stop. We have 30 more minutes. 30 more minutes. 30 more minutes of bad cat humor. Here we go. Christian X of Denmark, who reigned from 1912 to 1947, was also king of which nation from 1918 until it became an independent republic in 1944? Greece. Greece is incorrect.
Repeat that.
Christian X of Denmark, who reigned from 1912 to 1947, was also king of which nation from 1918 until it became an independent republic in 1944? The answer is Iceland. Known for their power lines. Along with Isaac Asimov and Robert Heinlein, he was the third member of what has been called the Big Three of science fiction writers, whose 1948 short story, The Sentinel, was expanded and adapted into a 1968 film that featured the computer HAL, 2001 Space Odyssey.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Incorrect.
What's the question?
I'm not gonna try to read it. Arthur C. Clarke. The answer is Arthur C. Clarke. Give me a second.
Where are we at with the time? Where are we at with the time?
This is our timekeeper right here. Which time do we have left?
Okay, can I do a switch?
Yeah, sure, yeah. You gotta, why don't you leave your phone, like, just so you can see.
Is everyone feline fine? I got a lot of cat jokes. Sorry, guys. This is my only opportunity to let it know.
I think Cat's got our tongues.
Boom! All right. I love this Jaguars and Cougars connection. It feels so right. All right. Toss-up question. The Oxford English Dictionary cites which other British references work more than 14,500 times. The last printed edition in 2010 spanned 32 volumes and over 32,000 pages. The Oxford English Dictionary cites which other British reference?
The Oxford Britannica?
Yeah.
No.
The Bible?
Incorrect.
Webster.
The answer is Encyclopedia Britannica. Find the measure in degrees of the largest exterior angle of a scalene triangle whose interior angles measure 42, 66, and 72 degrees.
Can you say it again?
Find the measure in degrees of the largest exterior angle of the scalene triangle whose interior angles measure 42, 66, and 72 degrees.
Could you repeat that? 138 degrees.
Nice. Yeah.
I didn't need you to read the whole question, I just need the first section.
All right. Bonus question. Where are we at for the bonus? Who's it?
Senior.
Senior. Its overseas empire was diminishing, so Spain declared war on this much nearer nation across the water on October 22nd, 1859. Name this nation just south of Gibraltar.
Yeah, you can.
You can just say.
You said Portugal? Yes. No, the correct answer is Morocco.
I don't, I bet we
They just
saw.
have to reset it. Yeah.
Yeah, we reset them because we don't people continually. All right, toss up. The word deprived means kept from possessing or enjoying. Change one letter and give me a word that means morally corrupt. Change. Depraved is correct. Bonus question goes back to our freshman. The Third Symphony of Vaughan Williams and the Sixth Symphony of Beethoven are given what same name, suggesting the countryside? Time's up.
Valley.
Pastoral is the correct answer. Sorry. NMR, which was discovered in 1938 and which by the 1950s became a significant research tool in fields such as molecular physics and biochemistry, stands for what? NMR. Time is up. The answer is nuclear magnetic resonance. Toss-up question. It happened as one of the major campaigns of the American Revolution. The British planned a threefold advance. South from Canada, north from New York City, and east along the Mohawk. John Bourgoin captured Ticonderoga, but was beaten at Bennington later. Horatio Gates successfully defended Freeman's Farm. What 1777 campaign was the first great American victory of the war? The answer is Saratoga.
And also, can I ask anyone that just came in to get a mask? And wear a mask?
take a quick pause. Coach, do you have any subs or anyone you want to?
The score so far is 4-7.
4-7.
Breather, substitute, and we're ready to go.
This triple star contains a spectral tropic binary with a period of about 30 years and a Cepheid variable with a period of about 4 days. It has a declination of more than 89 degrees. Name this star whose formal designation is Alpha Ursa Minoris. Name the star whose formal designation is Alpha Ursa Minoris. The answer is Polaris. In electronics, it is the term for the amplification factor of a circuit expressed as output divided by input. As a verb in the field of economics, it can mean to make a profit. What is the four-letter word also associated with a weight increase?
Gain?
Gain is correct. Bonus question, I believe, is going to our ninth graders?
Yes.
Is that where we're at? Okay, bonus question. In a 1964 motion picture, this word is defined as something to say when you don't know what to say. What song's 14-syllable title is described as sounding quite atrocious? You don't have to push things. Pronounce it one more time, please. Very good, guys. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, but we'll accept that one for now. Okay, back to our toss-up question. This U.S. government service ran up a deficit of $200,000 during only 18 months of existence, between April 1860 and October 1861. In his autobiography, Buffalo Bill Cody remembered this system as a relay race against time. What was this service between Missouri and California?
Oh, Pony Express.
The Pony Express is correct. And our bonus question is going to
10th grade.
10th grade. Here we go. He renamed the presidential retreat Camp David. K. Summersby was his driver and secretary. He appointed Earl Warren as Chief Justice. Adele Stevenson ran against him twice. Name this president.
Can you repeat the question?
He renamed the presidential retreat to Camp David. K. Summersby was his driver and secretary. He appointed Earl Warren as Chief Justice. Adele Stevenson ran against him twice. Name the president. Time's up.
JFK.
JFK is incorrect. It is Dwight D. Eisenhower. Don't worry, I believe we're all going to land on our feet here.
That's always.
Oh, we don't have high lives.
Okay, back to the toss-up questions.
15 minutes.
15 minutes. Compute the area in square units of a right isosceles triangle with a hypotenuse measuring 6 units. Time is up. The answer is 9.
Oh.
Toss-up question. Accountants often write negative numbers by surrounding them with what marks of punctuation instead of using a dash as a minus sign? Accountants often write negative numbers by surrounding them with what marks of punctuation instead of using a dash as a minus sign. The answer is parentheses. What English landscape painter's last name is synonymous with the term for a British peace officer? Constable. Which Academy Award-winning film of 1974 is about the California water wars of the early 20th century, starring Faye Dunaway and Jack Nicholson? The setting is a Los Angeles neighborhood with nearly 70% Asian ethnicity. Which Academy Award-winning film of 1974 is about the California water wars in the early 20th century, starring Faye Dunaway, Jack Nicholson? The setting is in Los Angeles neighborhood with nearly 70%.
Chinatown?
Chinatown is correct. Bonus question is going to 10th grade. If I mentioned John Connolly, Dallas, DeLay Plaza, and the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository, what would I be talking about? In Dallas, DeLay Plaza, the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository. Time. It is the assassination of President Kennedy.
Kennedy is coming up a lot.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Okay, right now we are tied, and how much time do we have left? It's 9:09.
We have 11 minutes.
We have 11 minutes.
We can do
It's 9 to 9, and if anyone wants to do a change.
Is anyone from the Jaguars?
All right, toss up question. I got it.
Toss-up question. We came back to Liverpool, and there was a knock on my door. The drummer wasn't well, and would I sit in? But 2015 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductee said it. We came back to Liverpool, and there was a knock on my door. The drummer wasn't well, and would I sit in? Time. Liverpool drummer drummer, Beatles, Ringo Starr. In terms of pi, what is the circumfluence of a circle inscribed in a square of an area 36 square units? In terms of pi, what circumference of a circle inscribed in a square of area 36 square units?
Nine pi.
9 is incorrect. Jaguars, you can take a guess. Incorrect. The answer is 6.
6 pi.
6 pi. 4 South American countries have coastlines touching the Pacific Ocean. Name any 3 of them.
Ecuador and Chile and Argentina.
Incorrect.
Chile and Peru and Ecuador.
That is correct. Very good. Argentina is toss-up question. What is the straight line distance between the points -3, 2, and 1?
The moment, no.
There's. What is the straight line distance between the points -3, 2, and 1, -1? What is the straight line distance between the points -3, 2, and 1, -1? What is the straight line distance between the points -3, 2, 1, and 1 and -1? Time is up. The answer is 5. Toss-up question. In Hamlet, Polonius advises Lysistrus that he should be neither of what 2 things in the line that precedes these words? For loan off losses, both itself and friend, and borrowing dull the edges of husbandry.
Could you read the quote one more time?
The quote, for loan oft losses both itself and friend, and borrowing dulls the edge of husbandry. Time is up. The answer is neither a borrower nor the lender be.
5 more minutes.
What's the score?
6 more minutes, and the score is 10-7.
10-7.
6 more minutes.
The ancient lighthouse on what island was so famous that the island's name became a synonym for lighthouse? That is time. The answer is Pharos. Toss-up question. Consider 2 engines rated at 4 watts and 2 watts, respectively. The smaller engine does a certain amount of work in the 3 hours. The larger engine can do 4 times as much work in what amount of time? Consider 2 engines rated at 4 watts and 2 watts, respectively. The smaller engine does a certain amount of work in 3 hours. The larger engine can do 4 times as much work in what amount of time? Is that what? Incorrect.
1 hour.
Incorrect. The answer is 6 hours. Okay, guys. According to Genesis 28, en route of Beersheba to Haran, who sleeps on a stone pillow and dreams of a ladder with angels ascending and descending? Genesis 28, en route from Beersheba to Haran, who sleeps on a stone pillow and dreams of a ladder with angels ascending and descending? That is time. The answer is Jacob. Jacob smells a ladder. Toss-up question. The answer is not orange, but what color links these four? The Cincinnati Bengals, a Stephen Foster tune, older buildings in Manhattan, and Joe Louis's nickname. What?
Red.
Incorrect.
Beige.
Beige is incorrect as well. The answer is brown. It's actually NFL history. That area was the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals were actually formed by the same guy. Got 3 more minutes. It rotates counterclockwise with a period of about 6 days. Its cloud tops are about 8 kilometers higher than those surrounding it. Over the past century, its area has decreased by about half. Though it remains visible from Earth, what is this enormous storm on Jupiter?
The red eye.
Incorrect. Time's up. The answer is the Great Red Spot. Close, very close. All right. 2 more minutes, crunch time. Toss-up question. Winston Smith's terrier of these is used to brainwash him in the novel 1984. A water one appears in the story, Wind in the Willows. The Pied Piper was hired to ride Hamlin of them. What are we talking about?
Rats.
Rats is correct. Nice one. Okay, bonus question, and this is going to our junior. During which decade was the first All-Star game played at Chomsky's Park? England had 3 kings on the throne in rapid succession, and Alf Landon was a Republican candidate for president. Which decade was this? Time.
In the 1900s.
Incorrect. The answer is the 1930s. The question was for the decade. Okay.
Okay, that's the end of the 15 minutes. Score is 10-6. Congratulations to both teams.
I just want to I just want to highlight, I saw some incredible sportsmanship from both sides, and that's really the biggest thing that we're trying to do here at the Jaguar, not the Jaguar, the friendship game. We should call it the Kit Kat game. But I'm really proud of you guys. Thank
I'm sorry.